Deepak, I would like to believe in God, but religion gets in my way. I see all of these different religions with competing doctrines and dogmas, each one thinking that they are the ultimate truth, and they are completely contradictory. Some would say that yes, there's a little kernel of truth in all of them, and don't worry about the cultural things that each one has. But each of those religions would disagree with that. And they say, no, you have to believe our whole body of doctrine. How do we deal with religion in the world if we really believe there is something that transcends human beings, and yet we have all these highly dogmatic religious expressions?
I think institutionalized religion or institutional religion is basically organized medieval mythology. So you organize a cultural mythology, you call it religion. I like to say to myself, God gave humans the truth, and then the devil came and said, let's organize it, we'll call it religion. But look at the word devil, it's the divine feeling ill. Okay, so and that's religion. But if you look at the religious experience, common to all religions, a few things stand out, okay? There's transcendence, which is an experience of the self as not in space-time and causality, however you clothe it in metaphor. Mm-hmm. I and the Father are one. It's a metaphor, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm in you, you are in me. It's a transcendent experience. The emergence from that experience of what, for lack of a better expression, is Platonic truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, even evolution, personal growth, love, compassion, empathy, joy, equanimity. And the third, by the way, is kind of an intimation of immortality, an intimation that absolves the fear of death. That's why it's so powerful, okay? And then the person who has the experience comes and talks about it, and he says, you know, this is how I had the experience, and they end up worshipping the person, okay, and then creating an institution around it. Now, if I'm pointing at the moon, you should be looking at the moon instead of worshipping my finger. But that's what happens with religion, unfortunately. I think we have to distinguish between the religious experience, which is common to all these traditions, and the religious institutions which are fossilized really in our contemporary understanding of the world.
And in this, you wouldn't differentiate any particular religion, Christian, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sufism, and all the different variations.
All religions have problems, and the problems sometimes in certain periods of history are more pointed at in this religion. But I can see the same problems in Judaism as they are in Islam. I can see to some extent misinterpreting the metaphors in Christianity, the virgin birth, which by the way is everywhere, in every religion. The virgin birth is not to be taken literally. Death and resurrection are not to be taken literally. You know, they are creative processes. You know, when you do something.
But each of those religions take them literally.
The institutions take them literally, yes. We mistake the metaphor for the
reality.
reality.
Get angry if you don't agree with them.
But scientists do that too. We take the metaphor for the reality. You know, everybody does it. There is everything that we call reality is a metaphor. So that's the problem. Yes, I have a problem with religions.
I understand each religion has their own very specific dogmas, but they also have their philosophies of what the ultimate is, whether it's a God or a cosmic consciousness, and that's what I like to focus on. Do you see any substance in that when they talk about a personal God that's omniscient and omnipotent and all good, and in the Judeo-Christian Islamic world, or a cosmic consciousness that we're all part of, and the Eastern traditions? Can you harmonize those kinds of things?
It's difficult to harmonize the world views of religions, and yet I see the emergence of a secular spirituality that will take the kernel of truth from all these and say that we can see the emergence of something that we would all at least have empathy with and stop fighting about it. Okay, but we are tied. You know, we're tribal people, and the only thing is that now we're still in, our mind is still in the tribal times. It still functions with the tribal mindset, but we have modern capacities. You know, we have bombs and nuclear weapons and mechanized death and all this stuff going on. So we are, you know, religion can be very dangerous at the moment. It's if we have a mass extinction, it'll be the gift of religion and science together. The first time science and religion will come together.
So what are the implications of that in terms of the current religious institutions? Do you see them all heading to a gradual extinction and something different emerging out of that? That'd be revolutionary.
I do see current religions going through a gradual extinction thanks to social networks, thanks to the global brain that is emerging as a social network, thanks to science to a great extent. But I also see a danger in what some radical atheists or pseudo-skeptics are doing, like Dawkins, for example. When you attack a religion, when you humiliate people that come from a religion, you actually strengthen their ideology and you strengthen their rage because you have humiliated them. So I think the radical atheists, the pseudo-skeptics, as I like to call them, are as dangerous as religious fundamentalists. We have to, you know, any common sense tells us that when you prove somebody wrong, you strengthen their ideology. And you can kill that person, but you will never kill the ideology that created that person. So the only solution to this is, and I'm going to use a word, enlightenment, which means expand your awareness. And as we start to expand our awareness, we see that the boundaries were all created in the mind. Every boundary is a mental boundary. You know, I asked a quantum physicist recently, I said, you know, people ridicule me for using quantum physics, this, that, and the other, he's a pseudoscientist. So I went to a real quantum physicist, I said, can you give me, in one sentence, the foundational basis of how you understand quantum physics as a physicist, as a mathematician? And he said, there are no boundaries, period. Every boundary is notational or perceptual. But in reality, there are no boundaries. There you have it. Okay, when we break down these boundaries that are ideological, that are religious, that in many ways are perpetuated by dangerous people like Dawkins and his ilk, if I may use that word, those boundaries are what are the danger.
On the other hand, you're saying that religions themselves, the institutions, are not good for humanity and should go to extinction.
They will. As our awareness expands and as our boundaries break. In fact, I personally think even nation states are boundaries. Okay, religions are boundaries, but nation states, I think 50 years from now, if we survive, it will be an outmoded concept. Even democracy will be an outmoded. We'll have netocracies on the internet, and I can have relationships with everybody on the planet, and I don't particularly identify myself as this tribe or that tribe, because nationalism is a sophisticated form of tribalism. No difference.
And so tribalism, nationalism, religion, it's all the same.
It's all, and science.